The Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Rock and roll. Hey, welcome to Soccer in 60, everybody. I'm your host, Tim Kolatz. And with me today is my good friend and co-host, Christian Philly Philemon. Philly, how we doing today, buddy?
Happy hour is back in session. Hello, Soccer in 60. I'm the platinum-haired flamingo Philly. And greetings, Tiki Tim, on this thirsty Thursday. Good to be back here with you again, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you and Nina taking over hosting duties last week while I was enjoying a libation or two. But we're going to get after it today.
Sun.
Yes, sat in the sun all weekend. That's why I'm a little red-faced. You know, us Irishmen, we tanned quickly and burn faster. So we're going to get after it today. We're going to get to the LAFC and LA Galaxy El Tropico. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the U.S. Open Cup game from last night for LAFC. We'll talk about Minnesota United for the Galaxy. And we're going to get right into it. So let's talk about the weekend that was. Let's talk a little El Tráfico. Philly, you were at the game, man. How was it with the late arriving 70,000 people?
70,076 to be precise, and that's great because the numbers were pointing to around 50,000. Either way, it was less than last year. There were fireworks in the building and fireworks that went off on the pitch. It was a spectacular atmosphere, and I could say that because I was in the air-conditioned press box at the Rose Bowl. Let's get into things. We're going to spare you every bit of game recap here. There were a couple of goals that were scored. First half, Tim, as you know, it got really exciting. Both teams trading shots back and forth, but we didn't really see anything open up until right around the 40th minute when LAFC had a set-piece attempt. It was Matty Bogusz lining up and connecting with LAFC's most viable air threats, Kai Kamara. Kai scores the opening goal, another fabulous header, showing the Galaxy's young Jalen Neal a thing or two about being a veteran and a rookie, not really a rookie, but a newbie in this league. And as they used to say back in the day, posterized him, absolutely posterized him. So Kai gets his third of the MLS season, 147 career MLS goals. That's 3 in the last 4 for him, and his third career goal against the Galaxy. And then a couple minutes later, Timothy Tillman easily gets by Ricky Puig in the box. Bogusz has a shot saved by McCarthy. And then Atuesta gets tripped up by Aude in the box. Referee Drew Fisher doesn't call it immediately, but then goes to VAR, and then we have 12 yards to glory for LAFC. Denis Bouanga has it. He's perfect from 11 meters, 6 for 6 on the season, 9 for 9 in his LAFC career. J-Mac guessed correctly, but Denis' shot was not able to be blocked. And 14th of the season for Denis Bouanga. Now he's the second. At that time was the second leading scorer in the league behind Chicho Arango. But thank God for the insurance for LAFC, because starting the second half, Galaxy would get on it.
Yeah, and the brilliance of what Puig is doing with Peck and everybody on the team, he's really coming through that midfield, and the beauty of this thing was just incredible. They're bouncing around, they're getting after it, and what happens is Yamane has really drove through after Puig puts in a ball right into the top of the box. Kind of bounces around a little bit, but Yamane gets his foot on it, and Peck from right around 12 meters out just buries this thing, puts it past the keeper, and it's 2-1. The place is going crazy. Hugo Lloris was just kind of cooked on the play, but the amount of action that this game had outside of these 3 goals was just incredible. You mentioned it earlier when Kai Kamara climbed the ladder to score the first one. He climbs the ladder even higher a little later on in the game, and Johnny Mac has to make a ridiculous save. Guy looked like Shep Messing out there making a save on Pele from 1979. It was pretty incredible. And the game ends 2-1, but man, I tell you, man, 70,000 plus, the place is going bonkers. I know that it was a home game for the Galaxy and they won last time out, but this was an amazing game, Philly.
No, it was an incredible game. Anytime these two get together, it's an incredible game. And with both teams being as successful as they had been, it was a very competitive game. A 2-0 lead in this competition, in this fixture, is not enough. And seconds after the Galaxy scored that first goal, Payne still had an opportunity to create a quick equalizer. Fortunately for LAFC, that didn't happen. And they go on to extend their club record, unbeaten in 12 games, 10 straight in the league, both club records. And now they have evened out the series all time with Galaxy. Both teams have 9 wins. Both teams have 9 losses, and we're sitting at 5 draws. So that was pretty awesome in that sense. That was the first time LAFC won at the Rose Bowl. And technically, since it was a Galaxy home game, it was the second time that LAFC has ever won, with the Galaxy being the home team. That being said, let's transition on over to LAFC's next fixtures. You can thank Hurricane Beryl for canceling LAFC's game against Houston. That hurricane was pretty bad. I know people down in Houston that lost power, so there's nothing to say as far as LAFC's game over the weekend. But they did play last night, Tim, at BMO Stadium in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup against a team that you and I covered because they competed against Orange County a few weeks ago. New Mexico United, the top team in the West in the USL and the third best team in USL, came in to BMO Stadium looking to tango with the black and gold. Now, New Mexico United has a history with cup sets in the U.S. Open Cup. You can go back to 2019 where they beat 2 MLS teams. From there, they brought in a ton of fans to witness the game over at Allianz against Minnesota United, but unfortunately for them, the result didn't turn out very well. Fast forward to this season right here, New Mexico United, another cup set, beating arguably one of the best teams in Major League Soccer in that of Real Salt Lake. They won quite handedly by a score of 4-2. So LAFC did know that this was going to be a team not to take lightly. And so let's get into it. Games at BMO Stadium for the U.S. Open Cup aren't typically the capacity crowd that you would have at a regular game. So if you get a chance and you really just want to have a chill atmosphere and take in some U.S. Open Cup, tickets are generally a lot cheaper for that. I think it was $35, and that gets you in the door at BMO Stadium, and you could sit anywhere. Anyway, let's get into the game. It wouldn't take long for LAFC to get involved. New Mexico, their supporters, they chartered 2 flights. They brought around 400 people to BMO Stadium, and they were loud and they were proud. And it was really cool to see them coming through. And Omar Campos early on in the game got fouled a couple of times, and he went down on the ground. And all the supporters from New Mexico are starting to chant, pobrecito, poor man, poor little man. But they made a mistake, Tim, because LAFC scored moments after that. It was Timothy Tillman, and that all comes out of the result of Matty Bogusz creating a chance. His shot gets saved by New Mexico United's keeper, but nobody there to clear it. Timothy Tillman has an easy scenario where he finds himself scoring his 2nd goal in the U.S. Open Cup tournament and his 6th for LAFC this season. Little bit of back and forth, some high-stakes scenarios, but then we fast forward to the 37th minute. David Martinez, the young 18-year-old Venezuelan who came in highly heralded, got his first start for LAFC, first in his Major League Soccer career. He just come off a 3-month hiatus where he sustained a back injury. A back injury for an 18-year-old that takes him 3 months to come back from. Quite a serious one, nothing to sneeze at. And you can tell he was rusty within the first 20 or so minutes. He was trying to do too much, dribbled into a lot of pressure, turned the ball over a couple of times. But then he had himself an opportunity where Matty Bogusz fed him, and he took a shot that went right off of the chest plate of New Mexico United's keeper. Call it a warning shot, if you will. But then he gets another attempt, and boom, 2nd goal of the half for LAFC. And we head into the half with the black and gold up 2-0. But that wouldn't be the end of it. A couple of changes going into the second half. Tomas Angel, Ryan Hollingshead, and Edward Atuesta come in. 57th minute, things get a little hairy for LAFC as the leading scorer for New Mexico United, Hurst, has a beautiful shot from outside of the box. Arguably, at that point, the nicest goal of the game. And it was wake-up time for LAFC. The supporters for New Mexico United are going bonkers. The atmosphere for however many people there were in BMO Stadium was fun. But in the 77th minute, the nail on the coffin, Matty Bogusz puts his defender on skates, and oh, Dios mío, que golazo, amigo. Matty Bogusz with the go-ahead, arguably the game winner right there, and LAFC wins. They now extend that unbeaten streak to 13 straight, including the Open Cup, that is. They're now 10-3-2 all-time in the U.S. Open Cup and head back to the semifinals for the first time since their inaugural season in 2018, where they lost to the eventual champion, Houston Dynamo. That's how that would turn things out. LAFC will be taking on Seattle at some point in August. So tickets for that will be available at some time. So that'll be something to look forward to. Now, the game that we're going to preview really quickly, Tim, is a rematch of last year's MLS Cup final. We've got LAFC on one hand, who were the runners-up. You got the Columbus Crew, who went on to win MLS last season. You got two teams that are having different seasons in a way. Columbus Crew did what LAFC did last season in the sense that they were in the final of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is arguably the most important tournament in this area because you're taking the best teams from the CONCACAF region, which is North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Columbus Crew would go on to face Pachuca, and they would end up losing. It was an interesting scenario as the Crew went out and they trained within the high altitudes trying to get adjusted. And then I don't know the specific details, but the entire team got sick a couple days prior. Did you hear about that, Tim?
Yeah, so the stories that I heard that were coming out of Mexico is that they all got food poisoning. Like 9 of the 11 starters all got food poisoning, and I wasn't quite sure. I mean, maybe the budgets are a little different, but I know when people go to the Olympics and they bring a lot of their own food and a lot of their own water. So I was surprised for just a short trip down there that they wouldn't have done the same.
Yeah, and it obviously cost them as it wasn't a game at all. I mean, it was Pachuca winning by a score of 3-0. I mean, Crew wasn't in the game whatsoever. But when you put your eggs and you shift them in that basket, because that is the more important tournament at the end of the day, because it allows you to go to the FIFA World Cup, which is you're going up against the best teams from UEFA, so on and so forth. Very big, prestigious deal. Either way, the MLS didn't succeed yet again, and Liga MX went through. But as far as the Crew is concerned, where they are, people will look at the Eastern Conference standings and see FC Cincinnati on top ahead of Miami, which, by the way, FC Cincinnati decimated Miami. But keep in mind, a Messi-less Miami. And the Columbus Crew currently sit in third place in the East with an 11-6-3 record. And if you look and compare them against LAFC, you got both teams having scored over 40 goals. LAFC with 43, the Crew with 40. The goal difference, a difference of 3. Both teams very much team-oriented as they have practically the same number of assists on goals. LAFC has allowed more goals than the Columbus Crew has. So that's something to look out for. And so the revenge match at BMO Stadium, a place where LAFC does not really lose. And what's interesting, keep this storyline in the back of your head. The players to watch on the Columbus Crew, of course, you got to start with their leading scorer, Cucho Hernandez. That kid is phenomenal. 11 goals on the season in 15 matches. But Diego Rossi, their second leading scorer with 7 goals, an LAFC legend. He scored the very first goal for LAFC in franchise history, 11 minutes into the game against Seattle back in 2018. Diego Rossi would go on to win the Golden Boot as a member of LAFC and was one of the most important parts for Bob Bradley's offense. He's going to come back to BMO Stadium for the first time since he left. Diego Rossi would go out and play in Turkey, in Turkey as they call it right now. And then he would find his way back over into the MLS and playing with the Columbus Crew. So it'll be interesting to see how the supporters of LAFC welcome back Diego Rossi. But he's not the only member of LAFC that's on the Columbus Crew that we're going to be welcoming back. Christian Ramirez who's also a SoCal native coming in from Orange, a Minnesota United legend for that matter. He was also on LAFC's team in 2018 and 2019. He is the crew's third leading scorer. In the 14 matches that he's competed in, he's scored 5 goals. So you got a couple of former LAFC players that are going to be coming back into BMO Stadium. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But either way, all eyes are going to be on this game for Major League Soccer because rematch of last year's final, a game that LAFC has not forgotten.
Absolutely. It's going to be super fun having those guys come in and seeing what LAFC can do. Hey, before we hop into LA Galaxy, why are we all wearing Strykers gear today, Philly? Oh, because we've got the legend himself. We've got Israel Sesay coming on right after the LA Galaxy segment. We're going to talk with him, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to get into his growing up, his coming to the United States, and a lot more with Izzy. So hang tight for that one. But while we're sitting here, let's get into the LA Galaxy a little bit. You know, we talked about El Tráfico and things like that. And there was a couple of things that I noticed over the past couple of weeks with the Galaxy. And they're running a 4-2-3-1 system, right? And LAFC just, it looked like the Galaxy were a little bit slow in that setup, especially with the two, I don't know what you call them, half back, half midfielders, whatever. LAFC just kind of ran roughshod a few different times, and we're getting some free shots on goal. And the same type of thing, they're coming in with a 4-2-3-1 against Minnesota United, which was running a 4-4-2, so a lot more defensive posture, right? With only 2 guys up front, where Galaxy is running a really high true 9 on the against Minnesota. And well, guess what? Gabriel Peck, he's been the hero all season long. Well, he's the hero in this one as well. The game started off a little more feisty than against the LAFC because within the first 22 minutes, there's a couple of yellow cards for LA Galaxy. John Nelson and Ricky Pooch both pick up yellows, which is kind of setting the tone because just 3 minutes later, Peck gets the first of 2 on the night after a beautiful 35-yard pass from Pooch to Yamane. And this thing's pinpoint accurate. Yamane doesn't even have to touch it. He just puts this cross right across the Peck. And, from him right in front of the goal, he's got the keeper beat. And it's 1-0, 25 minutes in. And this Yamane pass was just brilliant to be able to pick that thing right out of the air, not even have to touch it down, bring it into him, and he just buries it. Now, some poor defense gives up a goal a little later on where they just allow Minnesota United to run 35 yards down the middle of the field and nobody attacks the guy. So, but goal of the year, or rather assist of the year, is just a brilliant one in the 90th minute. Pooch to Cuevas, and Cuevas is you got to look this touch up and watch it 100 times because it's a rainbow pass over the defender to himself. One times it, and there's 3 Galaxy members inside the 6-yard box, and Peck happens to get to it first, puts it past the keeper and dialed in. 2-1 win for the Galaxy. They look amazing in this game. Really, really good. Nice, strong game for the Galaxy. And then we'll move on to this weekend's game. They're on the road against FC Dallas. Now, FC Dallas, you're thinking, God, they're stinking. They're 11th in the West. They've got a goal differential of only +7. But I tell you what, they've got 6 wins on the season. So all 6 wins are in their own house at Toyota Stadium. So they're 6-3-2 at home. And the Galaxy, while they're 5-3-4 away from Dignity Sports Health Park, this is going to be a game of the week. I mean, it's going to be on Apple Plus TV. It's going to be free to watch. You got to have to tune into this one because you got the Galaxy who come in 4-1 in their last 5 games. And while the Dallas is only 2-3 in their last 5, both of those wins are at home. They're being taken lightly at home. And even with their new coach, who's only been around since June 9th, Peter Luchin is the interim coach, and he took over for Nico Estevez on June 9th after a poor performance, albeit a result against a 1-1 result the night before. Nico got shown the door, and Peter Luchin, who's been with the team for about 5 years, comes in, and it's a lot of the same, right? You're great at home and terrible on the road. They're 3-4-0 since Peter's taken over. So what's going to happen in this game? I think the Galaxy are in for a much bigger fight than if FC Dallas was coming to Diggs, because you're looking at a team that is 14 and has got 14 goals for and 14 goals against in those 7 games, but they're plus like 4 at home. I think that the Galaxy are in for a dogfight, and I hope that Greg Vanney has got them dialed in for this game, because it's going to be a problem. Martin Pazak is their Paz is their goalkeeper, and he's been the workhorse, including playing all 120 minutes of a game last night in the U.S. Open Cup, and it was unfortunately a loss to Sporting KC. The big thing is just getting after it, getting after Paz. He's going to be a little bit tired from playing. Maybe they put in their backup. We don't know, but FC Dallas they're tirelessly working at their home stadium, and they're not losing too often, right? So their leading scorer is Peter Musa. He's got 11 goals. And guess who is the leading scorer, Philly? Who's the leading scorer on the assist column for FC Dallas?
Put me on the spot here. I'm going to go with Musa.
Nope. It's LA Galaxy legend,
Sebastian Lletget. Yeah,
he's coming home. He's welcoming his own team in. He's got 6 assists on the season. So they're going to have to shut down an old friend of theirs that played for the Galaxy from 2015 to 2021, when he did, in fact, move to FC Dallas, and has made a name for himself out in Dallas, too. So what's going to be fun about this game is going to be seeing, you talk about seeing some old friends. These guys are going to see an old friend. Now, the roster has changed quite a bit since 2021, but when you're looking at it and looking at it hard, what you're really going to see is a Galaxy team that's going to come in wanting an away win, and you got an FC Dallas team that's really staunch about defending their home turf. So it's going to be fun. I look forward to it. It is this weekend, and again, it's going to be on Apple TV for free. So unless you want to hop on a plane and go out to Dallas, where it's going to be, 400 degrees and about 85 million% humidity, which, isn't that much of a change from here in Southern California lately. It's just going to be, it's going to be a dogfight. You've got the heat, you've got the humidity. And that is one of the reasons why Dallas really can take care of some of these teams when they come in, because they're just not used to that type of heat, to that type of humidity. Galaxy and LAFC, they play by the beach. Both of them are no more than about 10, 15 miles from the water. Humidity is typically a lot lower. The coolness of the air is a lot better, just a lot more conducive to playing soccer for 90, 95 minutes. Dallas, you're going to get worn out fast, so you better be taking your electrolytes early in that one.
Hop up on that Gatorade. But you bring up a really good point. The question is, you got a few factors working with you. You've got Dallas coming off of a short turnaround. They lost a heartbreaker to Sporting Kansas City. I mean, it was in like the final minutes of the second half of extra time. It was, for Dallas, obviously, an unfortunate end to their U.S. Open Cup run. So will their legs be tired would be question number one. Question number two is yes. How does the Galaxy adjust to playing in that scorching hot heat of Dallas? So that's going to be another factor to look into. Sebastian Lletget, as you said, going up against his former club, that'll be good. But anytime, these LA teams go on the road, that's especially in Texas, it's always a challenge competing down in Texas. Between FC Dallas, now Austin, and the Houston Dynamo, for both LA teams, the Lone Star State hasn't been the friendliest. But with LA Galaxy now still reeling off of that loss against LAFC, getting back some respectability against Minnesota United, I think this is going to be an important game for them on the road. A point, at least a point, is necessary.
Yeah, I think a result coming out of FC Dallas would be fantastic. You get a 1-1 or a 2-1 tie, 2-2 tie. 2-1 victory would be great, obviously, but a 2-2 tie or a 1-1 tie, I think that would be a good, solid result coming back home to LA.
Completely agreed. And in this league, it's not, being at home is always an advantage. But if you could steal a point on the road and win at home, that's your way to the playoffs and to an MLS Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, hey, we've got, we teased it a minute ago. So we've got Israel Sesay in the house today with us. We're all sporting our Empire Strykers gear. And it's great to have him part of the crew again. He's been on the show before. Billy, take it away.
Yeah, born in Sierra Leone, our guest found his way to the prestigious IMG Academy. After that, where most of us would be preparing for college and or attending prom, Izzy over here got ready to play for the LA Galaxy, where he would go on to become the youngest player in Los Angeles history to appear in a game at 17 years and 9 days. His outdoor career would take him to the amazing world of indoor soccer, where he would see his career thrive and flourish, playing for the Ontario Fury, now known as the Empire Strykers, and representing the U.S. internationally. He is the Strikers' all-time leader in games played and penalty minutes, if I'm not mistaken. He's also the captain. When he's not breaking down opposing teams' forwards, he's out there molding the young soccer minds of America as a successful coach. I am biased and exciting. I love this man so much. One of my most favorite people to chat with, Israel Sesay. Welcome.
You always hit it right on the nail, Philly. Amazing introduction, like always. Thank you for having me, guys. It's pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure for us too. You're one of the few people that I always see that has a smile on his face ear to ear. And I got to poke at you a little bit. The one time I don't make a gentleman's bet with you on El Tráfico, LAFC goes on to win.
Oh, I know. I thought I was going to get a text from you before the game. Luckily, I didn't. So that was good.
Yeah, I was chewing my nails and cuticles because the Rose Bowl hasn't been friendly to LAFC as of late.
Man, but it was good to see, a friend of mine, obviously, Kai Kamara, had a very good game. So as much as I'm a big Galaxy fan, but, you like to see your friends, do well. So, it was good to see Kai, get a beautiful goal doing that game. So it's all good. Next game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kai Kamara, an aerial assault weapon for LAFC. Izzy, we checked before the show. You last joined us back in April. So the first question we really have to ask you is, how's your offseason been since then? And I know you were busy with coaching. Is that still the case right now? Like, what have you been up to?
Yeah, I'm super busy. I'm currently in Denver right now. One of my teams are we're in NPL National. I just finished coaching few hours ago. So it's been a busy summer with the kids, just running up and down. I was in San Diego last week. Then now I'm in Denver. I'm gonna be out here for another 5 days. Wow. Fly back to Cal, come back for National Cup with 2 other teams on the 20th. So it's a busy summer, but I love it.
Oh, Izzy, hey, thanks again for joining us. A lot of people have heard briefly about your move from Sierra Leone to the United States as a child because your family won the green card lottery, right? We all want to win the lottery, and you guys did. I'm not sure I've heard you talk a whole lot about the life back in Africa. Growing up, you lived there until you were about 11, right? So you must have some memories. I mean, I have memories when I was a little kid, before 11. What do you call
back when Burger King was a prince, right, Tim? I'm just kidding.
Exactly. What do you recall about life back then?
To be honest, it was good because it was home, but it was also difficult. To be completely honest, it was very difficult because when I was there was obviously a civil war going on. Unfortunately, I was at war. So unfortunately, I experienced all the atrocity. I experienced a lot of a lot of a lot of people die, and friends of mine, family members of mine. It was one of the most senseless wars that have ever happened. Luckily, I was able to survive that. But growing up there, it was difficult. During that time. As a kid, or all you heard is constant, constant sound of gunshots and bombs, and is and when you even if you come out of your house, you see dead body just laying on the ground. It's just it was crazy. It was
Tough.
crazy. But I tell people this every time. That just shaped me to the person I am today. That's why I feel like I'm always have a smile on my face, because I know, where I came from, and what I'm doing now is it's a blessing. Because I always say that, I think I've said this to you multiple times. I'm not supposed to be here, but there's a reason why I'm here, so it's a
Yeah,
blessing.
there there's a reason why you won that lottery, right?
Yeah, yep, it's a blessing.
Yeah. Do you remember
A
what it
blessing.
was like when you and the family found out about winning the green card lottery and coming to the U.S.?
It was it wasn't a lottery, if I have to correct you a little bit.
Okay, sure.
So
Hey,
so yeah,
Philly corrects me about
it was,
twice a show, man. Don't worry about it.
luckily for me, my dad was in the States. So my dad was living here. So when the war was going on, my dad filed a political asylum. So my dad
Oh, cool.
filed the war. So that's how I end up coming here. I remember when I find out, obviously I had to go do some interviews so I can have my paperwork. It was one of the best, calls that I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
When my dad called me, he was like, finally. When my dad called me, he's like, finally, your interview has been scheduled. So I had to fly from Sierra Leone to another country, because the American embassy back in Sierra Leone was closed because of the war. So I had to
Hmm.
fly to Guinea to do my interview so I can have my paperwork to come here. So it was it was the happiest. It was one of the happiest days in my life, because again of what was going on, and just I'm like, oh man, finally I can get out of this, and trying to have a better life, pretty much. So it was good. It was good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just to hear you talk about the tragedies that you saw, but then to get the asylum and go to Guinea. God, the energy that you're giving off is just amazing. I'm getting goosebumps just listening to you. When you got to Maryland, how how'd you make friends? Were you already geared up from playing soccer back in Sierra Leone? So you made friends on the team? How'd that all come about?
Friends, it was kind of weird. So when I moved to Maryland, I didn't know it. I didn't know the language. I didn't know anybody, but it was funny. One time I came outside of the apartment I was living at, and I ran into a couple of guys that were from Sierra Leone, and
Oh,
they were
no
kind of
way.
like my age. Yeah, it was crazy. They were living like in the next apartment building that I was living at that time. So that's how it all happened. And from there, we just end up staying in contact, and they start showing me around because those guys were already living there. So it was all crazy how it happens. I was literally like walk outside. That was like one of the few times that I literally went outside, and there was a couple of those that was walking, and they were speaking Creole. Then I was like, "Hey, are you guys from Sierra Leone?" They're like, "Yeah," and it was it was just like that. So they end up introducing me to a lot of other Sierra Leoneans, and they end up making they end up making it easier for me to settle down, because when you have friends and people that you know that you can speak the same language with, and that understand the area, it was a lot easier for me to like settle down. So yeah, that's how it all plays out.
So let's skip a little bit because I mean, plenty of stories at the IMG Academy, but let's move forward to your time with the LA Galaxy. As we mentioned during your intro, you became the youngest player to ever feature. I think you came in for Kyle Martino in a game. That was your first entry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but talk to us about that experience playing for the Galaxy. And of course, you shared a locker room with David Beckham. What was it like, sharing the pitch with him, having meals with him, and also if you needed something urgently from him, would he take your call?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Again, coming from my MG Academy, I remember that time, going back home and getting the call from the MLS and saying that, hey man, I think you are ready to come and play in the league. It was just amazing. I literally, like, I can remember it, like when they were calling me and telling me, and I was talking to my parents back home. I'm like, I can't, like this is too much. And they was like, you know what? Go try it out. Go train and see how it is. So it was amazing. But again, going back to your question, sharing the field and locker room with David, amazing experience, amazing guy. A lot of people ask me about him, and I said David is the most humble, amazing person that I ever been around. A superstar, but also humble, also caring, and he look out for like everybody that was in that team. I tell this story all the time. Like every Friday, if we play on Saturday, if we have a home game on Saturday, every Friday, David always take us to Fogo de Chao in Beverly Hills, and it was just like amazing. Take us there and just pay for everything. He will like Amani and phone and things like that, and like one day we would just show up to practice, and we would have like brand new cell phones just sitting in the locker room, or like one of his assistants would just come up to us and say, hey, what's your size? And like a week later, it's like a box of shoes and clothes. It was just amazing. He took good care of us, and every good things that happened to him, or like every good thing that he had, for me, he deserves to have that, because somebody like that, he is full of praises, man. The guy is amazing. And of course, on the pitch, man.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Mile High City gave him Mile High bandwidth issues. Hopefully we get him back. So did want to ask him his... Oh, there you are. We lost you for a second, Izzy. Can you hear us? Oh, boy.
It looks like, hey, Israel, hey, man, we appreciate you coming on today. Super great having them. Like Philly said, sometimes can you hear me now doesn't always work at 5,200 feet elevation. But, that's okay. Philly, what a good dude, man. Oh, my God. Listen to some of those stories. It's just incredible to see where he came from.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty more to discuss with him, and I'd love to have him back on the show. But let's quickly transition on over into Angel City, where we have one half of the Angel City Chicks, and not only my roommate, she's not my sister, my partner in pod and my partner in life, the beautiful Amanda the Panda Philemon, with your Angel City recap and preview. Take it away, Panda.
What's going on, guys? Good to be here. Let's do this. Let's start another week of can Angel City win? And well, guess what? Unfortunately, that answer would be no. For the third straight game in a row, ACFC would fall to their opponent. And this weekend, this past weekend, I should say, it would be by the hands of Gotham FC. Let's get into the action. Now, ACFC, they hosted Gotham FC at BMO Stadium on Saturday, July 6th. And goalkeeper Didi Hare, she's going to see some action very early on as Lavelle took a short-range shot that got blocked. Lavelle was able to scoop up that rebound, but Didi, she was there to collect it this time. And then we're going to see midfielder Rocky Rodriguez. She had a left-footed attempt that got blocked, and, well, the deflected ball fell to the feet of Alyssa Thompson, who sent her shot wide. And we could see play kind of going back and forth, but Gotham would open the scoring in the 16th minute when Dunn passed a through ball, a beautiful through ball, to none other than Rose Lavelle, who one-timed it, hitting the back of the net, showing us why both will be representing the U.S. in the upcoming Olympics. Now, Gotham would double their lead in the 40th minute when, again, Rose Lavelle sends a long through ball into the box for Stevens, who sent a pass across the top of the 6-yard box to a wide-open Sheehan, who just put her shot away with ease from point-blank range. Gotham just seeming to carve up Angel City's defense in that final third. Now, Angel City would start the second half pushing for a goal, and they would see Alyssa Thompson take a shot that goes just wide of the right post, and they would keep their foot on the gas. That would finally break through in the 69th minute when Gotham defender Mandy Freeman, she's going to foul Giselle Thompson in the box. Now, it was not called initially, but we did see the referee make her way to the VAR booth, and it did show Freeman stepping on the foot of Thompson, ultimately disallowing her to recover and continue her attack. A PK was then awarded, and we see none other than Claire Emsley step up to the spot. She buries it to the left, cutting Gotham's lead in half, but unfortunately, that would be all we would see. The rest of the match saw some back and forth action with both teams closing in on a goal, but the game would ultimately end with Angel City FC losing at home 2-1 to Gotham FC. Just heartbreaking to see, because you can tell when they come out of these games in the beginning, they really have a game plan and are trying, but they're easily foiled by our opponents, especially a team like Gotham FC, who is sending 7 total players to the Olympics. So that just tells you the caliber of team that they have. Tough team to play. We stayed in there towards the end there. Could have gone either way, but ultimately they did lose. So Angel City not really on a hot streak, especially with wins. They've only got 3 losses and 1 win and a draw in their last 5 games. So we really need to see them step up. It's kind of frustrating. You go out there on social media and you read all the comments, and there's just a lot of suggestions out there. Let me just tell you that. And I don't really know what the answer is. There's a lot of, we need a new coach. We need a new GM. What about the players? So I think there's a lot of things that need to be revisited at this point for Angel City. We've got some talent out there that maybe needs to find a new home. And I think Angel City would love to sign them. A lot of spots on our roster that we really have not been able to replace. A lot of big name talent like Paige Nielsen, Amandine Henry. They haven't been replaced. We don't have June Endo. We still don't have Kristen Press. So, we're lacking a lot. We've put a lot of weight on our young kids that we have signed, and they really have stepped up to the plate. We've seen Kennedy Fuller. We've seen Madison Curry do about as much as they really can do right now. And I think it's up to our team right now to kind of get them some help. I think Becky Tweed is coaching an entirely different team right now than she coached last season. We've got a lot of new faces, and I think it's just going to take some time and some patience from everybody all around. But either way, we do have some games coming up, and we've got a really fun tournament. It's a kickoff tournament that we have never had. We are going to see Angel City play on July 20th. They're going to go up against Club America from Liga MX Femenil. Yes, this is a brand new tournament called the Summer Cup, where NWSL teams are taking on Liga MX Femenil teams. It's going to be real exciting. We are in a bracket with San Diego Wave and Club America, and we will play the Wave on August 1st. All this happening out at Titan Stadium in Fullerton. So if you have been with us since the beginning with Angel City, you know that is where we played the what what we lovingly referred to it as the Fugazi Cup, the Challenge Cup, way back when we started a couple years ago. Now, as far as the club's next regular season game, that is going to be played away down in San Diego on August 24th. So going to be a great matchup, I think. San Diego sitting right above us, same points, 15 points for both teams, which we have not seen us this close with them since the start of all of this. It's going to be a great one. It's going to be hot. I don't know if you've ever been down to Snapdragon Stadium. It's going to be a hot one. It's going to be in August. No shade down there. So anyways, it's really all I've got for Angel City. I mean, sure, I could draw this out into a whole bunch of news, but I think the takeaway here is, we got to find our form, and there's little spurts of it here and there, but just missing a lot of finishing pieces and scoring goals. Scoring a PK, 1 goal in the last 3 games, just not good enough. They really need to find some goals in the run of play, putting together some creative plays and shots, and just finding ways to get around the keeper. So that's really all I got, guys.
For the record, when you say Fugazi Cup, for those who don't know what that means, it means fake, a term strongly used by the Italian community in New York and New Jersey. If you've seen the movie Donnie Brasco, you've heard the word Fugazi.
We called it that because it was a meaningless tournament at the beginning of the season when teams were just kind of getting their feet together. We were afraid people are just going to get hurt. And the whole reason for the tournament in the first place was it's what kicked off sports from COVID. That is where it came from. And it's a great reason for it, but I think once we got back to normal play, I think it was fine to get away from it. And they have now changed that cup to, I forget the name of the actual cup, but it's the winner of the Supporter Shield versus the winner of the actual cup. They now just play 1 game at the beginning of the season, and that has replaced that. So no more Fugazi Cup, but now we have the Summer Cup, guys.
Hey, I'll be at Cal State Fullerton for that Summer Cup. It's going to be fun.
All right. Good luck, guys. Good to see you.
What jersey are you wearing?
Arsenal.
Welcoming.
Supporting my English brethren for advancing on into the Euros. So Sunday, guys.
Have a great day, Panda. Thanks. Hey, let's boogie over to Orange County. Orange County, we talked about these guys last week when we were on the show last week. They were in New Mexico, and they ended up losing that game 2-0. But one of the coolest things was, and that's why they weren't scared about coming into BMO over the past few days, is they played in front of over 12,000 fans at that game last week. So it was, they came in, Orange County came in knowing that there was going to be a big crowd. And when they came in, they were home this past weekend, and they had Memphis 901 FC coming in, and Memphis is playing lights out. The biggest thing that was good for Orange County is that they had some people coming back from injury. The injury report looks like a substitution list the past 3-4 weeks with Orange County, 6-7 people on that injury list. However, they got Ryan Dogman returns to the lineup. Bryce Jamison starts on top with Ethan Zubak, who has been playing lights out, and the return of the 4-4-2 lineup versus, some of the other lineups that they had been doing. So a little bit more defensive, but I'm telling you what, Ben Norris, 17-year-old, makes his USL championship debut, and it was not defensive for long because Paul Hardiman, the coach of the team, and if he keeps playing like they played against Memphis, he's not going to be the interim coach for long because he wanted to play quicker. He wanted to play more pressing on the ball. And this happened perfectly because full speed ahead in the first half, the early fireworks, and it's a quick goal. 5 minutes in, it's a great goal, and we're 1-0 up. The speed is king in the first half. Ben Norris is just amazing. He's a young kid. He's got it going on, and he pressured at the 901 FC 18-yard box. And he's pressuring this guy, and the guy makes a very poor pass right across the box. Ethan Zubak picks this up, and the keeper's got to make a great save on this thing early in the match, or it could have been really a bigger blowout than it was. They keep going. Jameson is brought down in the box a little later in the half, just a few minutes later for a PK. Ethan Zubak just buries it. And again, I've mentioned this before, and you saw it over the past couple of days, especially with Kane in the Euros game. You don't fumble around with your PK. You pick a side, you commit to it, you run up to it, and you hit the ball hard and solid right where it's supposed to go. The PK that Zubak did was a perfect shot of this, and just it was exactly what you're supposed to do. Came in, struck it. The next thing you know, it's 2-0, 25 minutes in. This is the way Orange County needs to be playing this game. 20 minutes later, after strong work and earning a quarter, a wide cross gets cleared to Owen Lamb, who creates his own volley. He chests this ball and hits this ball out of the air. This ball was so well struck, it went about a foot over the defender's head, went far post. The goalkeeper just kind of sat there, and if you watch the replay, the goalkeeper looks like this, looks right at the ball, watches it go by his right-hand side, and it's in the side netting, and it's 3-0. The game was just fantastic. They played really well. The final score ends up being 4-1 Orange County, and it wasn't even that close because Orange County thoroughly dominated a team that is about 5 spots higher than they are in the conference standing. Now, the interesting thing about this is that in the Western Conference, second place and ninth place are only separated by about 5 points. So you get a couple of wins, and magically you go from the doghouse to the penthouse. And that's what Paul Hardiman wants. The biggest thing in the second half is that it did get chippy. There were 8 yellow cards in the second half, so Memphis wasn't going to go down lightly, but they ended up going down. Getting into the next game, they're on the road this weekend against one of my favorite team names. I know that we've talked about different fun team names before, but the Tampa Bay Rowdies. It's going to be on Channel 9 and ESPN+. Tampa sits 4th in the East at 8-5-4, and they're 2-1-2 in the last 5 games. The big guy to watch out for is Manuel Ardiana, and he's got 10 goals. And then there's another guy named Forrest, not Ted Lasso, that's got 9 goals. So they've got some scores, and they're 5-1-2 at home. So this is going to be a really good, strong game for Orange County and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And I remember watching the Tampa Bay Rowdies as a kid. We would go to New York Cosmos games. We had the Detroit Express in town, and the Tampa Bay Rowdies were one of the funnest teams to watch. So with that, check out Orange County this weekend, and then they are back at home the following weekend. Philly, man, it's been a great week of footy, man. There's been some good stuff, and what's going on in the land of Euros and Copa America? Oh, wait, there's a big giant elephant in the room that is no longer in the room. What's going on with U.S. soccer, Philly?
Before I mention that, for those that are LAFC fans that are going to tune in this Orange County game, 2 names you'll recognize, Josh Perez and Cal Jennings, both members of the Black and Gold, featuring for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Tim, if there's any place in this world on social media that is the most toxic environment I've ever come across, would have to be that of U.S. men's national team. Nobody gets along. It's like a bunch of economists in a room chatting together. Nobody agrees. Everybody hates each other. They're knives out. But if there's anything where this entire community grouped together and all believed in the same thing, it was #fire Greg Berhalter. And U.S. soccer finally did just that. They fired Greg Berhalter. Greg Berhalter, who obviously was at the helm of the United States men's national team on 2 occasions, crashed out with the team in the group stages of the Copa America, which they should not have. A game against Panama really cost them dearly, but he's gone. And a lot of names have been floated out there, but the big news in U.S. soccer as of today is Jurgen Klopp rejected the idea of becoming the U.S. men's national head team coach. That's something that's out there. I know head coach of LAFC, Steve Cherundolo, was mentioned. Wilfred Nancy from the Columbus Crew was mentioned. That's what's going on right now. So we are captainless on this U.S. men's national team ship.
Yeah, and I'm in a couple of email chats with some of the guys. There's about 80 of us in this chat, and they posted the article from the Athletic talking about that, and they were even talking about a couple of guys, and they said, yeah, it'd be great, but Pulisic could never play, so he's out. And it's just interesting at who they really think is going to be able to come over. I mean, the head coach of Canada is an American, and they looked at him a couple of years ago, but he was treated so poorly that even he rejected the thought of it in an article post this afternoon. So it's going to be hard for U.S. soccer to really come up and figure out who can be their coach. And then really it's going to have to go all the way down to the grassroots level, because the type of soccer that is played at 10, 12, 15 years old is not what is being promoted at the senior team level.
Yeah. The soap opera that is United States men's national team is going to continue to go on. Couple of friendlies that are going to be coming up, and hopefully they can figure out who. Stay away from Steve Cherundolo, U.S. soccer. Let him be at LAFC and let him finish the story. That's my little tidbit there. But real quick, folks, we just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. Make sure you check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Obviously, it'll be on the Empire Strykers YouTube page. And keep on talking about Soccer in 60. Tell your friends, tell your family. We're going to keep on doing the show. We're going to keep on entertaining you, educating you, and informing you of all the teams here in the Southern California area. On behalf of myself, Christian Philemon, the platinum-haired flamingo known as Philly, and Tiki Tim, we'll see you later.